Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Damien. Just anyone that missed the first few seconds there, if you want to put your name and the club that you're representing in the chat box there, and you can see they've all started to put it in. That's brilliant, guys. Thank you. Just want to welcome everybody to our Go Games workshop for the under 7 age group. One you can jump on next if you want. So we're delighted to have an official sponsor of Go Games this year, which is Specsavers in Longford. They're doing a great offer where if you go into the store and you need to get your safety goggles or contact lenses, whatever it is, to play the Go Games, mention that you're with a certain club and give your child's date of birth along with the Go Games mention, and you get a great deal. Again, once we have official confirmation of what the deal is, we'll send on to all clubs. You can go next there, Owen. Thanks. Brilliant. So guys, everyone's using the chat box their way. They're putting in what club they are and their name. I also want you to just, what do you expect to take from this webinar? So just type in your answer into the chat box. What would you expect to take from this webinar? What exactly you're looking for from us? I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes. Anyone that hasn't put in their name or club yet, do so as well, please. Thank you. So in the same chat box we're using. Perfect. How do Go Games work? Brian, well done. So we'll be covering a bit about that. Just a couple of minutes, guys, if you want to put in what you expect to take from this workshop. The rules and the time frame. Good. How many games there'll be? Yeah, we'll be covering all that. Brilliant. Dates and times. Just going to give it another 30 seconds, guys, if there's anyone else that wants to.
Kieran, can you just try and admit that person, John McGee, there? It's just not allowing me to admit it.
Yeah, it should be in there now.
Great, thanks.
Still just the one person with comments, guys, so if there is something else you want to jump in with, do please. Laura, look for the rules. Brilliant. We're going to go through that as well, Laura. What I might do, I might move on, Damien, but if there's something else that comes in, you might highlight it.
Will do.
Thanks a million. Owen, you can jump on to the next one. So just this evening, we're going to go through what are Go Games, how do they work, when will they start, and we'll give you the dates and the rules, etc. Some tips on training sessions for this age group, and the Go Games checklist, so what you need to have going to these Go Games. So essentially, what are Go Games? Small-sided games which allow for a lot of touches, a lot of time for kids on the ball, emphasis on fun, all through enjoyment, all through developing the game, getting the kids to enjoy the matches, keeping with the sport. Again, lots of touches, similar to the small-sided games, gives kids the opportunity to develop, to kick, to throw, to run with the ball. No scorekeeping, so it's a non-competitive environment focusing on enjoyment and development. Active coaching will be all you guys getting stuck into the matches, standing in the middle of the pitch. Don't be afraid to be giving pointers while the kids are there, encouraging both sides, both teams. And then the Go Games philosophy that every child gets a game, which is self-explanatory, that no subs, no large weights or lines, that everyone is having fun, getting lots of touches in small-sided games. Thanks a lot. I'm going to hand you over to Owen now, who's going to go through how they're going to work, what they're going to look like.
Okay, so great to see you all joining us. So as Kieran said there, probably the most important thing is every kid gets a game, every child gets a game. And I suppose we've set up these under 7 games, Go Games, in a way that hopefully that every child will get a game. So I'm just going to go down through kind of how they work, and it probably will answer a lot of the questions. But if something comes up that's not answered, just type it into the chat box at some stage there, and we'll deal with it as we go along. So all this information was sent out to the clubs in a kind of a summary. That booklet there deals with all of the age grades and the rules and stuff like that. So I'm going to be just taking it out of that. We've clipped it a little bit to make it easier to understand, but all the stuff is there. The club has been sent that. So if you're looking for it, try and contact the club to get it off them. So it kind of gives you a grid within that booklet of kind of all the information that you'd need for the under-7 Go games, and we're just going to go down through that now. So first of all, I suppose a brief outline of how they're going to work. So the first thing is the structure. So there's going to be 4 blitzes over the year, and they're going to be taking place in Pearse Park. So they'll be all hosted in Pearse Park. It won't be like other Go games where they might be in different clubs. So the plan was at the beginning of the year to get 5 done, but just with COVID and everything, it's just been brought back down to 4. So it's only 4 blitz days kind of in the year. Then on a blitz day in Pearse Park, there should be 4 to 5 games got. The whole blitz will last an hour, and then, or just over it probably, but playing time about an hour, and then 10 minutes max is what the games will last for, and there won't really be a half time unless it's a really windy day and you want to swap so that there's no team with an advantage. So you're looking at 10-minute games, looking for 4 or 5 in the hour, and they'll be held in Pearse Park 4 over the year. And then I suppose 3 really major points is that we're recommending, and these games are set up for those born in 2014. So they're the true under-7s, I suppose, is a good way of putting it. And next year, those children will be moving up to under-9. So that's what these games are aimed for. And we'll talk about that in a little while. We're looking at maximum of 5-a-side games. So we really want to keep a tight hold on that we're not going on 6-a-side and up to 7-a-side games. Max we're looking at is 5-a-side games, and then each team of 5 must have 1 mentor with them. So we'll chat about that as we go down along. But the reason for that, sorry. So I suppose if you had a situation where we have 14 under-7 players, so in a nursery we might have more than that, but we have 14 players who are in their last year, I suppose, of that nursery. They're born 2014, and we have 2 mentors that will be able to go to the blitzes. So probably the lazy option or the easy solution there is, look, we'll bring 2 teams of 7, and what that will mean then is that the children are going to the games. There'll be 2 subs on each of those teams, and it just means there's less game time for everyone. When kind of a simpler solution or a more ideal situation is if we can just get another 3rd mentor to come along, then we can have 2 teams of 5 and a team of 4. And then when they come to Pearse Park, we'll be able to set them up that the team of 4 will probably be playing most likely against other teams of 4, and the teams of 5 will be playing against other teams of 5. And I suppose the advice we would give there in trying to get mentors is, because there's only 4 days over the summer, they're nicely spread out. It might be a case that you can get 4 different volunteers, whether it's a parent who has Garda vetting that might be able to help out on that 1 day for the hour, or it may be even if you could get someone to volunteer from another age grade within the club that doesn't mind just helping out on 1 day in the year just to give you a dig out. So definitely in that situation, if we can get 3 teams going rather than 2, it's way more beneficial for everyone. And then just some pointers on that and some reasons behind that. So the whole point of this is we want to make it as valuable and beneficial for the players as possible. So at under-7, we're giving them a taster of the games, getting them used to the idea of, setting up into a bit of a team and trying to kick the ball in a certain direction and other guys trying to get the ball off them. And we just want to get as much value out of it as possible. So there's nobody going to be stopping people bringing children from at under-6 that were born 2015. But if we can stick as best we can to 2014 players, the chances of it being way more valuable is higher, and it just won't turn into as much carnage and children just not being able to understand what we're trying to achieve. If we're all dealing with kind of under-7s, then we have a better chance of setting up some sort of a game. And then like a really important kind of pointer for ye is it's going to be way more manageable. So if you're bringing a team of a maximum of 5, that's not the hardest thing in the world to do, and to keep an eye on the 5 kids. And if they're like, the first game might be a bit hard for them to understand, but by the time they're in their 4th and 5th game, it'll start to make a whole lot more sense to them, and then the whole situation won't be as chaotic for coaches, and that'll make it way more enjoyable for the players, and again, they might get more value out of it. And then, like, a really good point there, as I kind of mentioned already, if we have subs, it just means that the club and the player involved is losing out on potential playing time. So like we say, every child gets a game. We're hoping that anyone coming to the Blitz in Pearse Park is going to get a minimum of 4 games, full games. That's 40 minutes of trying out the Blitzes, and maybe even up a 5th game and getting 50 minutes. So the more time they can get out of it, the way more valuable it is. So again, if you have any questions on that, you can type them into the chat box. I'm sure there's a few coming in there, and we'll deal with them as we go along. So then, just what is it going to look like, and how kind of do they work? So the first thing is there, it's hard to see, but the little icon there is the football we'll be using is a first touch only. So that's the best football to be using for this age grade. It's nice and light, and they'll be able to handle it. And Pearse Park, we'll have it set up like this, so there'll be 9 different pitches. When you arrive, you'll arrive with your team of 5, and we'll be kind of directing you. So you'll be directed to a pitch, and then we'll kind of direct you in between the games where you're meant to go. In terms of equipment and stuff, like the goals will just be little poles, nice and simple, and then the size of the pitches there will be 40 meters by 25 meters, and the size of the goals is about 4 meters apart. So if anyone was looking at the size, what sort of size of pitch should we be setting up and training, what should they be used to, that's kind of the dimensions to be aiming for. So then, kind of what will it look like on the pitch? So as we were saying, we'll have 5 players max. We're hoping there'll be very few subs in the entirety of the day, and then we can set it up nice, simple: 2 defenders, 1 midfielder, and 2 attackers, something like that, and that the coach rotates this as much as they can. Now, obviously, they're at under 7, so positions is going to be a bit complicated for them to understand, and they won't really grasp it. But even just trying to get them to think about it somewhat and rotating them, that they all get to go in different areas, that there's not just one person that's a midfielder, or that they're not being set into positions and they only get to play there. And then, so as we were saying, the playing time per child, we're really hoping that there's a full game for every child, gets a full game in every single game, and that's hoping that the substitutions, there's not too many substitutes. But in saying that, substitutions aren't like disallowed or anything. You can have unlimited substitutions. You can roll them in and out as much as you want. That's 100%. And then there's no scores recorded. So the coaches will be doing the referee, and there'll be no scores, counted or recorded, or there'll be no winning and losing. It's just about practicing the idea of being in a game and what it involves, and getting them used that when they go to under 9 go games the next year, it won't be such a shock to the system. And then, so we have our 2 coaches there. There's our 5v5, but the 2 coaches have a really key role in that. So we'd love to see coaches really involved on the pitch. One person will be reffing with their whistle, not overly fussed about the reffing. We'll show you the few rules coming up, but the main thing is the coaching that's going on. So individual coaching, trying to spot and fix things. If there's something that's going wrong, that we're explaining why it might be a foul or why something is happening next. And it's just, again, to get them used to the whole way that a game works, so it's not such a shock to the system the following year. So as I said, their coach intervention, we're looking for being in on the game, trying to help them as individuals, and kind of really minimal instructions between games. So it's kind of, you're on a one-to-one coaching level there with the kids, and then loads and loads of encouragement after that. As I said, the referee then is kind of just one of the coaches, will just kind of take that role, but they're still coaching as they're going along. And it's more just to stop anything that might go really wrong in the game. We wouldn't be too worried about the rules as such. And Damien is going to come in there and just go through the rules and kind of the thinking behind them all. And again, if there's questions that come up that we don't kind of deal with, be sure to type them into the chat box. It's great to get the questions dealt with here. That's good, Damien.
Thanks, Owen. Yeah, so just again on the coach intervention there at the top, both coaches of each of the two teams are more facilitators. So one person is taking the responsibility for just using the whistle and trying to referee the game as best as possible. But both coaches should be trying to coach individual players from both teams within the blitz. So it's about seeing a kid is struggling to get the ball off the ground. It's about having a little word with them and helping them. And ye people acting as facilitators within the little blitz and trying to help the 10 players that's on the field, not be concerned with your own team and them trying to do well. It's all about just the individual. It's not about the team at all. So as Owen said, the rules have a reason behind them. They're not just a rule for the sake of it. So if any had older kids and have seen the under-8 blitzes previously, you would have always seen a lot of clumping in front of the goals, particularly on kickouts, and maybe somebody struggling to kick the ball out, and there's a good player in the middle of the field that can just read where it's going, and they win it every time and the ball goes back in. So now from a wide or a kick-out, the game is going to restart from a sideline and the halfway line by the team that had conceded the score or the wide. And one of their players will just run to the ball, pick it up, and the game recommences again. So straight away, that team, after conceding the score or trying to do a bit of defending, they're on the attack straight away. A rule like that will also help keep a couple forwards up and a couple defenders back, knowing that if a score gets given away or a ball goes over the end line, that there's going to be an attack straight away. So it makes sense to stay up that end of the field. So that rule has a kind of a double edge to it, which should really help. The most important skill for kids of this age, the two skills that are most important is catching and kicking. So the majority of kids are not capable of soloing the ball, and particularly not capable of doing it under pressure. Therefore, we want to try and get away from that. We want the kid to catch the ball, look up, take a few steps, and then try and kick the ball in the direction that they're scoring. So this is something that ye should be trying to bring to your trainings all the time. It's catching and kicking, catch and kick, catch and kick. And I know it can be easy to get a few minutes to put kids standing on a cone and do a solo and practice that. And, you know, it settles the whole thing down. But really, if a kid tries to do that within the game, it just invites pressure. It invites other kids on top of them. And because of that pressure, they're not able to execute it. And there will be some kids, obviously the talented kids will be able to do it, but for the majority, it's just something that's a little step too far. So we would be encouraging kicking all the time, and particularly the hand pass as well. It's a very hard skill to execute. So encouraging your child to kick the ball in the direction they're playing, and again, that'll help keep the shape and keep players in forwards and defence. So the pick of the ground, we're going to allow that as long as the kid has their 2 feet on the ground. Any kid that goes to knees or lying on the ground, sliding in on the ball, it's an automatic free. Firstly, it's dangerous sliding in on somebody, but also if somebody goes in with a boot, it's dangerous on that person as well. So on your feet and you can pick it off the ground. And then obviously real encouragement for any child that's picking the ball up correctly. Trying to allow the child 6 or 8 seconds on the ball. So they don't have to worry about a hop or a solo, but they have a length of time on the ball where they have to get rid of it. And by that, it's through the kick. They can use a bounce. If they want to use a play, it's only one bounce. And then it's shadow tackling. So no physical contact in the tackle at all. It should be just the person sort of waving their hands, and any contact should be, again, coached out of it in training. Kids, when you're playing your little games, you should be encouraging the kids not to make contact with another person on the ball. Your way of trying to get the ball back is to win the ball when it's played. It's not to try and grab it from somebody else's hands. And then the person foul takes the free. That's a standard issue throughout Go games. And then the sidelines are rotated. So it's just not the same person hanging around the sideline where the ball is trying to take the free once the no goes out over the end line or it's a score. So it's just rotating that all the time and giving kids that free kick off the ball. So I think just one of the other things there about the 2014 births. So next year in 2022, the 2015 births will be getting precedent. So again, it's another reason that for maybe not having those 2015s this year is knowing that they're going to get a really good crack at it next year. So just bear that in mind as well. Thanks, Owen. Back to you.
No problem. So then when will the Go games be? When will they be starting and what are the dates? So as I said, all of them will be held in Pearse Park. There'll be loads of different clubs attending. So probably what how they will happen over the Saturday is there'll be 3 different kind of slots. And then pretty much every club we're hoping will attend over the day. But obviously, whatever club you're involved with will only be going to one of them slots, and we'll be telling you about that kind of the week beforehand, which we'll be communicating that, and it'll just depend on the numbers. So we just have to make it work with all the numbers in all the clubs. So probably Saturday mornings and maybe going into the afternoon is when they will be on, and then the 4 dates are there. So if you want to take a picture of that, or a screenshot if you want it there, these are up on the Masters fixtures list already. So we're starting Saturday the 12th of June, then Saturday 10th of July, moving then Saturday 7th of August, and Saturday then 11th of September. So from the first one to the second one is 4 weeks, then another 4 weeks is the next one, and then I think it's 5 weeks to the last one. So it's kind of 1 a month there, as you can see. So they're the 4 dates. And then Damien is just going to chat to you about the form before the Blitz. So this will be next week. So I'll let you in there, Damien, just to kind of go over that.
Yeah, thanks, Owen. So again, some of you might be familiar with the online forms. So the text group that we shared the details of tonight's meeting with, that will be sent a form. So we're looking for the lead mentor of your age group to reply to us with the number of players you have that's consistently training. So that gives us an idea as to, so say if it's 5-a-side with 9 pitches is 10 kids to a pitch, that means we can accommodate 90 kids within a slot. So we need to know how many kids we have to cater for in total, and then that determines how many, the way we divide out the given slots and what clubs come at what time. So it's very important that when we send this form out, that you know your numbers in advance. So whenever you're training this week, that you keep an eye on those numbers, you know from your registrations, you know from your health questionnaires, and you know how many coaches you have, therefore how many kids you're able to bring. And then we'll communicate the exact time slot to you as soon as we can. We also would encourage clubs, should you wish, to organise your own blitzes, whether that's internally within your training session or whether that's inviting another club to come and play your club. So if you feel that those 4 fixtures are not enough, then you're completely free to organise other fixtures. But we really want you to maintain the different rules that we talked about there to bring continuity to the players and understanding that they're meeting the same rules all the time, and no matter who they play, it's the same rules. And we might talk a little bit about those additional blitzes towards the end again. David, I see your question there. So the recording will be sent out to club secretaries in the morning, as well as the presentation and a copy of the fixtures. So all of that will be with your club secretary in the morning. Thanks, Owen.
So I'm actually going to hand you over now to Kieran. So he's just going to kind of give you a few tips on how you might structure a training session to suit with the under 7s. So over to you, Kieran.
Thanks, lads. So this is just 2 different options that you might look at it as a club and how to go about training at this age group under 7. So option 1 would be clubs with large numbers, under 6, under 7. So enough kids nearly to have separate training slots. It's a station-based program like you've done before. Me myself, I do it parallel to the under 6 nursery. So the under 6 and under 7s, they're going at the same time. They're just separate training slots. And what they are is they're the station based, so your circuit class, so you have a game at one station. And then, a go game station at one station, and then your others are normal. So you have your agility station, balance station, coordination station, running, jumping, throwing, whatever it might be. So that's just kind of a diagram of what my training sessions look like at this age group. The under 6s have one half of the pitch, they're going through their stations, and the under 7s others. So they just have a station base like the under 6, but the Go Games is a station, and that way you're still keeping your small numbers for the Go Games, so the kids are used to playing the 4 or 5 aside because they're all in small groups anyway. And it allows for all just to rotate through, and that other groups aren't waiting. They're playing a balance or jumping game while the others are playing their little match. Do you want to move on? And then the second option, then clubs with smaller numbers, under 6, under 7, that might have them training together, so one big nursery. So the same training slot, again, you're station based, you're inclusive of the under 6 nursery. What you would do separately then, you'd have the older players staying together, so your true under 7s, like Owen said, the 2014s, if they were split into 1 or 2 groups, that they go through the stations together as a group, as a team, and then they might have a separate Go Game station to the side just for these 2014 players. And again, that's kind of what it looks like, is that you'd have your different games, your stuck in the muds, your throwing games, your jumping games, and then again you have your Go Game station to the side, where you're keeping those 2014 kids all together, and they're still getting the benefit of the Go Games and the practicing before they get to Pearse Park. And then finally, this is just a checklist. Handy if anyone wants to take a screenshot with their phone or picture of their phone. Just before going to any blitz in Pearse Park, have enough parents and mentors. So for every 4 or 5 kids, you need 1 person. And if you say 16 kids, which means you're going to go 4 teams of 4, you need 4 people, guard vetted people with you. Whistles, jerseys, first aid, footballs, all mentioned already, the first touch footballs. And have I let Longford GA know how many players we're bringing? So the form in advance, or the phone call, whatever it might be. And then Damien's going to go through a format at the end of this, where after each blitz you're going to just fill out how many players you brought to each of the blitzes. Thanks, Owen. And again, guys, the health questionnaire is vital to all these training sessions, to these blitzes, no matter what the age group is. All parents and coaches should be filling in this health questionnaire. It's the only standard way to contact trace, keep us all safe. And again, Longford GA made a great step-by-step video to this, so if anyone's having trouble, contact your club. Each club received an email with a copy. It's on our YouTube channel as well. The step-by-step guide on how to complete the health questionnaire online.
Kieran, just before you go on from that, does anyone want to throw up their hand or into the text box there? Is there anybody having any troubles with that we might be able to help you with tonight? I know it's a few weeks in and probably most of the stuff has been teased out. It was causing a bit of grief at the beginning, but just there's an opportunity now if anybody wants to bounce anything by us. I'll just talk about this and we can come back to the questionnaire. So you can just raise the hand, text box, and we can come back to it. So again, possibly if any of you were involved in years previous with Go Games Blitzes, a club would host maybe 3 other teams at a blitz. We used to make contact then with that lead mentor the following day to find out how many kids they had, how many kids the other 3 clubs had, and the breakdown of boys and girls. We need to record all this information for Sport Ireland and the GEA. And it was a torturous enough type of a process, and we fully appreciated that a person that was hosting a blitz was probably only guessing the numbers of the other 3 clubs that attended, and maybe even guessing their own numbers, or at least the boy-girl split. So we have designed this, again, online form. It's the same form for under 7, under 9, under 11 and under 12. Owen will go through it now in a second and sort of part populate it. So the first thing is, if you come to one of our blitzes or you organise one of your own blitzes, and I forgot to say earlier, if you're organising, you're inviting another club to attend, you just need to drop Peter O'Reilly an email at secretary.longford@gea.ie saying that St. Francis want to play St. Columkills in an under 7 blitz on Monday night, the 21st of August at 7 p.m. in Park Nagale. That's all you need to do, and it's only to cover for insurance, so that activity has been flagged in advance. So if you go and organise a blitz and you don't let Peter know about it, and something happens to a child or happens to anybody during that activity, the insurance cover won't be there for it. So you must flag an activity that you're organising, a blitz or a match, must flag that, and that's at all age grades. So if you have that, or you come to one of our blitzes, you go in and you stick in, so Owen has put in his name there, you go into the underage section and it's a drop down menu, so you pick your team, the date. So if you just click the little calendar thing there on the right hand side, usually it would be the day or the day previous, but say it was a week that you needed to go back, you just use the arrow in the top left and it'll take you back to the previous month. You pick the date that the fixture was, you pick the age grade, so all EE will be under 7. Now it's the total number of teams that you fielded. So if you had 15 kids and it was 3 5s, you're sticking in a 3 there. And then your boy-girl split is 7 boys and 8 girls. So you just pick those in. Total number of coaches that attended. So ideally that would be 3 or 4 or 5. You just put it in. And then the last little one is a sort of a nice little thing in that it could be a compliment that you're paying the host club. It could be something that you just wanted to raise about maybe somebody didn't play one of the particular rules or whatever it may be. It's just an observation or a comment. You don't have to fill it in. It's not a mandatory field. But just if there's something you want to flag with us, you can pop it in there, and maybe it gives us a chance to touch in with the host club or whatever might need to happen, just to make sure that maybe that person wasn't familiar with the rules and we can tidy that up. And then you just hit submit and that record comes through to us. So we'll be looking for the lead mentor of every team for every time that you play a blitz to complete that form, and then so we can track the numbers. So that's all on that one. I think we have we're into our full questions now. Next, is it on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, don't be shy. Into the text box there if there's anything you're unsure about. There's no such thing as a silly question, particularly when you're only starting out. Owen, Paddy, Kieran, Seamus on the hurling side, myself, we're always available. Our phone numbers are very easy to find by just doing a bit of a Google search. They're all on the website. The numbers will come up awful handy. If you're unsure of anything, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help out. But again, use this opportunity. If you have any questions, hit us with them there now. And I just put into the text box myself there earlier, it's very important that you practice these go game match type situations in every training session. You really need to be setting aside 12 or 15 minutes, at least 10 minutes every time you go out to get the kids familiar with that 5-a-side, what happens when a ball goes wide over the end line, to be using their steps, to be kicking the ball, to be not really using the pass. It's 8 seconds. Kieran, will you just hit mute on everyone there, please? I'll put myself back on.
Yeah, no, I got him. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. No, it's 8 seconds in its entirety, John. So that can be with or without the bounce. But it's 8 seconds is the most length of time a kid can have a ball. And I suppose really from 4 seconds on, we should be encouraging the child to play the ball. It shouldn't be a case that somebody is really clever and really athletic, and 8 seconds they can travel, 30 meters, and then it's an easy score. We don't want a situation like that.
Would you recommend splitting the boys and girls or mixing them?
I suppose, David, you're very much hinged on the opposition that you're going to play and the strength of your boys and girls. Most clubs would be mixing, and if you were organising something on your own and maybe there was a strong female section within your club and you wanted the girls to get playing other girls and the boys playing other boys, then that's probably something that you should do within the blitzes that you organise yourselves. But I'd imagine most of the ones that clubs come to ours, the teams will be mixed up by their boys and girls.
And of ability as well, Damien, mixed ability.
Yeah, of course. It's not stream teams. It's always trying to balance the teams.
Yeah, non-competitive. We're not keeping scores, so it's all about development and fun.
Yeah. Are we focusing solely on kids born in 14, or will we be able to send children from 15 up, etc.? A club may not have sufficient numbers for 2014s. So yeah, Bridget, we talked about that, and it is entirely up to the club what they want to do. There'll be nobody there checking dates of births or birth certs or anything like that. Whatever a club tells us they want to bring, they're entitled to bring. The reasons that we're saying the 2014s is to make it more worthwhile and more fulfilling for that age group. If it's a numbers issue and you don't have them, like even if it was 8 kids, I would say that that's 2 4-a-sides, as opposed to trying to get 2 more kids to make 2 5-a-sides. So I would fully expect on some of those days that we're in the park, some of those games will be played as 3v3, with the max being 5v5. So I suppose what you don't want to get caught into is maybe bringing a couple of 2015 births, and there's another 8 or 10 of them that you're not bringing, and you're trying to divide that over the 4 blitzes. And, you know, we want to try and make it as easy for ye as possible, both logistically getting there, but also actually playing the game. And those kids that are a year older are that little bit better, and they had the under 8 last year to go on as well. Under 7 is a very difficult age to try and play the game, and that's why some of the rules we talked about as well, we would hope that they would help it, like the shadow tackling. That'll be a huge one. If kids don't dive in and try and take a ball off somebody and there's no hand passing encouraged, then the game will be a lot better. But again, in short, you can bring who you like, and as long as you have the mentors to deal with the number of teams you have, that's up to yourselves. Yeah, so there doesn't seem to be anything else more coming there. Again, if there is, just fire it in. We'll share this recording with your secretaries in the morning. We'll share the full presentation. The fixtures there, you might have taken a screenshot of them, but we'll include those 4 dates. They're already on the master fixtures, on the website and the master fixtures. Owen, do you mind there just, can you jump into your browser and go to the Longford website? Probably a couple of things we take for granted there with people that mightn't be overly familiar. So on our Longford website, we have a contacts page. So if you just go to about there at the top left, and then our contacts, and then youth football mentors, and then if we just click that little image there, we're going to get every club and all their age grades, the phone numbers for all of the mentors that have been given us. So that's how you can make contact with somebody if you want to organise a blitz there. So that's the under 7s all the way down there. And Owen, do you mind just going back and showing everyone where the master fixtures are? So it's under games, I think, is the heading.
Yeah, just
games. And then over in the bottom left,
in the games.
Yeah, so because we're in, like, the current rule, and I don't know what's going on in a lot of your clubs, but I know on my sessions with the team I'm involved in, parents are bringing their kids, and it's a free-for-all. Kids are running around the pitches, and, you know, it's as if we were back in 2019. And that's not what's supposed to be happening at the minute. Parents are allowed to attend training sessions for the safety of their child. They're allowed to stand around the outside of the pitch as long as they're maintaining the 2 meters social distancing. So in Pearse Park, we will be able to facilitate parents on the terraces around the place. Obviously, you have training sessions every week. Your parents are doing, you know, whatever they're doing, and possibly bringing kids and having a kick around in the goals and run around and playing with their friends. You know, that's a club thing. But for the blitzes that we'll be having, parents will be able to be around the perimeter of the pitch, outside the rail and on the terrace. They will be allowed to attend, but we won't be allowing anybody other than players and the mentors onto the field. And that's something that we would look for you to communicate in advance. So thanks for that question, Frank. Yeah, so there's the master fixtures Owen is showing you there, and everything's in it. So the football is that light blue colour with the navy inside it. And then we'll let you know, hopefully 10 days in advance, but at least a week in advance, as to what your time slot is going to be in Pearse Park. And it'll be, say the first one might be at 10 a.m. and it'll finish at 11 and the next one will start at 10:30. So there'll be kind of a half-hour buffer there to get rid of the first crew and get the second crew in. And again, it will be your club's responsibility to complete the health questionnaire as your kids are arriving. So we'll be telling you that the kids have to meet out in the car park, that all of you have a little station set up. The child knows and the parents know who they're coming to. Your COVID supervisor is checking them off that they have their questionnaire filled out before they come into the ground. Okay, that seems like everything. Again, a super thanks to Owen and Kieran for all the work they've put together and pulling this. We were out last Monday with the under-11s. We were out last Thursday with the hurlers tonight, and we're out with the under-9s this Thursday night as well. So that'll have all our groups touched, and hopefully it's setting you up in a really good position that you know now what to expect. Hopefully all those questions you asked earlier on in the chat box have been answered. And as I said earlier, Owen, Kieran, Paddy, Seamus, myself, we're always at the end of the phone to be able to answer any of those questions for you. So thanks everybody for joining in, and we look forward to seeing you in the park in 5 or 6 weeks' time. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Good night. Thank you.